There you go, friends. Hi, happy Sunday, by the way. I've been uploading a lot lately. I've been having the time to do it, so I really appreciate that. I have the time to do this. I'm due to either inherit or start two more projects at work, so that may hinder me again from uploading as often as I want. But yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. Take advantage of this at that time. I felt it a need to upload this video. Here's the book by Nicholas Carter, and highly recommend this book if you're interested in music theory. If not, then you can get off the channel because that's what we will be talking about. Specifically, this book. As you all know, I'm really interested in music theory. I have tons of books in theory, but not one resonated the way this book does. Right? I bought it I think a month or 2 months ago, and man, there's no looking back. If there was one book I wish I started reading when I wanted to get into music theory, it would have been this book. I have no affiliation with this author, nor the book. I don't get anything out of this other than my own, experience with the book. I'm still reading it. I'm not done. And the book, the author itself tells you that this is a book you'll have to go back and go back and go back as a reference. But what makes this book unique is the it links the different concepts of music theory that can be confusing sometimes. Music theory, according to the author here, Nicholas Carter, is not exact because it had been developed in different times, as music emerged. And what makes it difficult is, again, we think it's linear. We think it's there's a method to it, and there really isn't. I mean, to really learn one aspect of it, you might have to dive deep into a latter aspect of music theory to understand the earlier aspects of it. It's kind of hard to explain here. But what I like about this, I get this confused sometimes. When you in anything you do, there's didactic and then there's the practical application. I think that's the way it goes. I know we had a didactic exam when I was in lab school back in the Navy, and then we had a practical exam where we would go in the lab and then actually do, you know, uh, work with test tubes or whatnot. Anyway, the beauty of this book is that it is, I would dare to say, like I say, I haven't been uh, done with it yet. I would say to this point 90% didactic. So this is going to be a lot of reading, not a lot of, you can apply it, you'll be able to apply it right away, but it's a lot of reading. And the reason it's a lot of reading, it explains a lot of the concepts before you even dive into it. A lot of the music theory books I have will dive into the application right away without me or the reader understanding, how we got there. This fills that gap, I think. That's why it's called music theory from absolute beginner to expert, because even experts can learn from this book. And it's not I mean, the book is not thick at all, it's 242 pages, not that thick at all. And it's easy to carry. I mean, here, if I stand, like you see in Amazon, that's how big the book is. It's not very big to carry, with you wherever you go, if you go to the park or not. But anyway, I will just share some features of why I like this book. Um, it takes you to there's the introduction. I'm looking at the contents now. The introduction, there is music theory, fundamentals, mastering scales and modes, not in the way you think it's going to be, and you have mastered the chords, and then these are the main sections of the book, uh, all about the rhythm, and then more ways of creating movement in music, putting musical structures together, going beyond the foundation. So this is really a foundation book. What I like about the book, uh, in the intro part here, I'll read an excerpt, okay? In the intro part, it says, this book doesn't tell you what you must do. I mean, music theory doesn't tell you what you must do. It only hones your ear and your hands so that you can better discover what you want to do. Theory is harmony, melody, and rhythm, the fundamental structures of sound that make it possible for that sound to be organized musically. And then it goes on to say the aim of this book, so that the aim of this book is to help you learn music theory in a structured way that is easy to follow and understand. Now, it may go against what I said a while ago. There's no structured way because you may go into one deeper. He explains that here, but there is a structure in learning it. If you catch my drift, he does the work for you, to for it to be sort of structured, and then music theory is universal and applies to all instruments. So this is not geared for guitar. This is not geared, it's geared for everything. Look at this. It is not geared for guitar. So it is theory, music theory in the pure sense of the word, and it's universal. um However, since piano is a heavily theory oriented instrument, one can play as many as 10 notes simultaneously on the piano. Key concepts are usually best explained on a piano keyboard. And if you even understand the guitar keyboard a little bit, and no offense to keyboard players here, piano is cake. It repeats itself. There's no C in this string and fret one whatever, it's what you see is what you get. um and then which the author will do whenever there is something important to demonstrate visually. But don't worry if you're not a piano player. You'll just see how applicable music theory is on any instrument, and why it is an essential means of communication between all kinds of musicians. In the end of the day, that's really the essence of music theory, right? So that we can communicate universally. If I go to Japan, I don't speak a word of Japanese. Well, a few, but not a lot. And I was good at music theory, and part of that is reading notes or whatnot. It's a universal language where you put the music sheet and we can play together without with even having different languages or coming from different parts of the world, which I think is fascinating. I think they should have applied that to language, but lo and behold, here is where we are you know Certain aspects of this book, though, and the author tells you itself, you can skip, and then go back later if you're not interested. Like I had to skip it because it was getting boring, but at some point my curiosity is going to lead me back to some of these sports. Like part one of the book is music theory fundamentals, and here it tells you everything. You know Understanding sound and pitch, and then this is important, I think, to know in my view. And then notes in music, that's how basic this is. And as you can see there, it shows you the piano with the diagram, and then it goes into octaves and registry ranges, and it goes on to middle C tuning and pitch standard. I always wondered why middle C was, the choice. This book explains it to you. And then tone, equal, temperament, and octave subdivisions. Why do we have 12 notes? It gives you all those basic things. And then here is where it gets funky. Okay? How note frequencies are calculated, 12th. If you guys are even familiar with Miles Okazaki, a very good professor, guitarist, author, he has the fundamentals of guitar. It is very, very, very like this. It's very mathematical. It's very so. It's not for the faint of heart. I have that book set aside for for some other time, But first, I gotta learn this book in and out. There are calculations, notation and keys, um, wavelengths and sound wavelengths and all. And the book tells you can go ahead and skip if you're not interested in that. I am, but at a later point, um, and go straight to master the intervals, which is where I am now. I have skimmed the book. Whenever I get a book, I skim it. I read certain parts of it uh, to get a feel of what it's going to be in the end of the day. And right now, I am in the. I'm not skimming anymore. I'm done. I put this tabs here to help me show you what got me to be more interested in the book after I acquired it. Here we go. We have the master the intervals. Intervals were easy in the sense to me were in the basic music theory books that I have. I knew what the intervals were and what they were. What I didn't know was how to, if you're ascending or descending. A good question is, if let's say, where am I? Like D is a minor seventh below C and a major second above it. You know, if you would ask me, what was a major second above C or D, I wouldn't have known that. And then, below it, what would it be? What would be the what would it be below D, and what would it be above D? And that everything above was sharp and everything below was a flat, and I'm probably confusing you more than helping you, but this book made me understand why the application will come in later, I'm sure, because at the end of the day, you want to apply these things that you're learning. So it is really, really good book. They go into chromatic and diatonic intervals, and then there are charts like you can see here that help you out, what does it say in this chart? Yeah, the chromatic intervals, to sort of help you out. And then another thing that's interesting is what is a scale in music, and why do we have it, um, and then there's the master the scale. There's another thing here that caught my attention. Modes, right? We all talk of modes. How to hear a mode, practical exercise, right? It's an exercise. Before I even read this book, when I was studying the different modes, Aeolian, Lydian, all this Dorian, especially Dorian, that's what we use most in blues, and I believe they use it in jazz as well. Mixolydian is one they use in jazz a lot. I noted that, yeah, the scale is going to be there, but what really gets you fluent when you start improvising is how it sounds. How does Mixolydian sound? How does Dorian sound? Once you get the sound, you can forget the scale, so to speak. You will just flow because you know what you're playing. The scales are there to build your technical flow, if you will, but your creative flow comes in when you ingrain the Dorian sound, in your brain, and you're improvising a certain song. So this is really good. And then there was another here. This was really hit home, harmonic minor scale. How and why was it derived from the natural minor scale? Again, all my music theory books just tell me this is the difference from the natural minor, from the harmonic and the melodic. You either flatten this or you sharpen this, and voila. It never explained to me why. Why is that? Why is there a melodic? Why is there a harmonic? So this book is very basic in that sense, and again, that's one of the reasons I really love the book. And again, extended chords, right? Ninth, 11th, 12th. Um, we know that the octave, when you extend the chord, it's just a repetition of what you have in the original octave, let's say, so, you know, a ninth is the same. Again, I may be shooting myself in the foot here. So, uh, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, C, D. Okay, so a ninth would be the same as a second note of the scale of C, the key of C, the scale, but that took time for me to learn. But again, here is there is a chapter in the complexity of extended chords, nines, 11s, and 13s. It explains uh, all those things to you. So it's really, really a great book, if you ask me. I would recommend, before you get any music theory book, to really, really, really get this. It's going to make things a lot easier when you get into the meat and potatoes of music theory. Okay, so that was my spill for today. I just wanted to share that with you and hope that beginners in music theory who really want to get into it, I find it more fascinating than anything. That's why I read it, so I hope you have the same passion. And if you don't, just know that there's books out there that can help you understand some of these concepts that we think is so complex. When in the end of the day, when you start linking them together like this book does, it becomes a lot easier to understand. And maybe in that sense, because you understand it, it'll be easier for you to apply it, in your playing. Okay, you take it easy. Have a good rest of the Sunday. The weather is really starting to look good. I think I'm going to go out and take a walk, but it is so beautiful. It's almost spring. It's like spring already. Okay, you take it easy and have a great day.